31 was that number, and Delta Vec guessed it. Okay. I was hoping to go into the Fort Knox variation of the French, but we're probably not going to have that now, are we? No. So I could play the position where the queens are off, but I'm going to go with this. Something different. And, oh, the reason why I wanted to go into that variation is because that was my most recent topic of my video. Okay, now I'm going to take, because I'm up a pawn, that it showed a trap in the Fort Knox variation of the French defense. So now I'm more than happy to go forward with the queen exchange, because at the end of it, I'm up a pawn. And this knight, I could attack it again, so let me do just that. I see no reason to take this pawn. In fact, taking this pawn is accelerating my opponent's development. I don't want to do that. So what do I want to do? I want to make sure I get all my pieces out. So if they take on e4, then I'll exchange queens, and then I'll recapture with my knight. And now maybe I want to take, because then I could eventually force the bishop to go back and recapture on d1, as otherwise white will be uncastled. So is there anything better than capturing on d3? No, actually, yeah, there is. Let's develop. And now I'm threatening to win yet another pawn. I want to advance my own development. I don't want to help out my opponent from developing. I guess with c3 the intention is to play to d4. Okay. I could capture. I could also develop, but these guys are doubled. Let me make sure they stay, or I could have them undoubled. He's isolated. And I have majority now, this 4 versus 3. I could give a check. Let me do that. I don't really intend to capture the knight when it blocks. I'm assuming white would develop to meet this check. I really just did that, however, to finish development. Or maybe there's a reason to pile up on the pinned piece. Yeah, let me do that. Before maybe it is prevented with, let's say, bishop c4. So this, I'm taking a short time out here to not advance my development, but to exploit this pin. And now there's two pieces of greater value on this same diagonal. It's my bishop. Can I make use of that somehow? I'm not considering at all the capture of this knight. Not until some question is thrown to my bishop, at least. Okay, now there's something going on here. Now there's something going on. I'm going to defend. This structure has changed quite a bit, and now I'm going to be getting more material with knight takes here, because this is attacked. If bishop takes bishop, I take this rook first. I'm up a piece from this line. Two bishops. Hits the rook. f5, knight e7 to d5 come to mind as well. Okay, this pawn is actually hit twice, so I need to defend him with the pawn if I want to hang on to him. Bishop here is a good home. When I'm trying to assess accurately a chess position, and I realize that in this position I'm simply up a lot of material, but looking at the positional factors, one of the things I look at with regard to pawns are where I have my furthest advanced pawns And then are any of those squares that that pawn controls a hole in the position? And right now it controls f3 and d3, but of these two it's d3 that is a hole, and so that will act as a home for a piece. But in this case my opponent is missing these threats that I have. I was reacting to that a3. If I had captured on b3, they would take on b4, but pieces are just falling at this point. But going back to what I was saying, this is a great home for a bishop, but ideally a knight right here would be enormous. Again, assuming it was, you didn't have the imbalance, this great change in or this great difference right now with regard to material, but ideally a knight on this square is fantastic. I like my bishop's position right here, so I want to secure that. Watches over b5, and I could think about queen h4 stuff. If there's one piece that I could get working a little bit more, it would be my knight, and my opponent helps me out with that move. This falls into the chasing an opponent's piece away to a square it wanted to go to. He would love to play here. He's more central, and now he has this square in mind, which would come with the fork. Two rooks potentially are hit. Knight c4 is maybe a possibility. These jumping points where I already have defense. d3 and c4. And I could take this rook, they take my bishop. I'll take this, okay. Oh, if I take here, I thought I would have this check. But queen, if I took it right here, there's queen takes with check. I can't do that. I was trying to be clever just there. If the king goes here, this queen is tied down to the defense of e1. So I couldn't make use of that. I could maybe look to deflect the queen away. But I have bishop takes pawn stuff. Yeah, that wouldn't be a good idea. The king goes back here. H2 is dropping 40 seconds, less than 40 seconds. Alright, GG. Let's go back. Flip. Where is there something to take away from this game? Right here. I wouldn't go with this. D3, you allow me to, at the very least, consider exchanging and ruining your castling privilege. So what can you do better? How about, if you want something very simple, it's not going to enter any crazy territory, but if you really wanted to establish yet another pawn in the center at this moment right here, and you could always meet d5 with capturing, and then play knight f3, and then bishop d3, and then castle. Develop, develop, develop. It's the biggest thing. What happened in this game was, what exactly? Well, even you could be more aggressive with your bishop. You're pointing at a pawn. I have no fear whatsoever with this diagonal. This one is a different story. Maybe I have to worry a little bit about an e5 push, exploiting the pin. This is harmless. This even runs into potential pawn advances by me with tempo, where I'm able to grab space. So steer clear of that. I don't like this idea of d3. So again, going back, I would consider just establishing yet another pawn in the center on move 2, or when your pawn is challenged like this with my d5, consider capturing at that point and then playing d4 yourself, establishing a pawn in the center for yourself. That's the biggest thing, because I'm winning a pawn at this point and it's way downhill. Your knight's getting kicked around now. I'm grabbing space. c3 isn't a developing move. I'm developing. d4 is not a developing move. You developed there. You defended c3. But at that point, it was way too late. Okay. Good game.